Welcome to Croatia and the ORC Mediterranean Championship 2012. The island of Cres was the host place and gathered the top boats from many Mediterranean countries, as well as some participants from Northern Europe. It was a week of action and exciting sailing with light, medium, and strong winds, with fierce battles and a lot of sailing in the wonderful waters of Croatia. Croatia and the Sailing Club of Rijeka have been organizing several sailing events these past years, always with great success. Cres is an ideal location with its new marina. Among the top teams to compete, we find Kamramar from Slovakia. They're always competitive, and this is a great opportunity to prove it. However, they would have to overtake the Audi team, and this wouldn't be easy. Both teams had some tough battles throughout most of the races. Who would prevail? At the same time, the Aquila team with their TP52 would fight for the title in the ORC A fleet as well. Among the favorites, Eskandalo of Ina Vaklavova is the most likely to win. This M37 boat, with its crew coming from the Czech Republic, is very fast and has the necessary experience to claim the trophy. However, they won't have an easy week. Dieci par dieci, Sandro Fabro, is a really competitive boat. The Italian team will give it their all, and everything can be expected. Same for 69, the Slovakian team, with Richard Schultz as skipper. They could be in the top 5, and there's going to be a tough battle until the very end. Last but not least, Isla Bonita 2, another Italian team with a very fast boat. Every detail counts, and they all know it. For the first boats arriving well before the start of the event, time for preparations and also some final tests before obtaining the necessary certificates. The opening ceremony was about to take place in the heart of the city of Cres, and everybody was in attendance. The presidents of Rijeka Sailing Club and the Primorsko-Goranska County, as well as the Ministry of Maritime Affairs, Transport, and Infrastructure. The first day of the championship brought some rain and cloudy weather. Not the best way to start. So what does the weather forecast tell us? Will it be a long wait?
This morning it was a bit raining, so we are supposed to be to have a sort of undefined weather forecast. The wind is supposed to be blowing very strong in the early morning and going down in the afternoon, so we are pretty open to get everything we get.
In the meantime, athletes kept themselves occupied with all the necessary preparations. It was around 12 o'clock when the sun finally appeared and the boats could leave the port and go sailing. It was about time. It's of course important to be able to trim and tune before the actual race. And not at the least, time for the sailors to sufficiently warm up. The first race was abandoned, however, since winds reached 30 knots. When the first race began, Opatia was among the top in the ORC B category. Meanwhile, 69 and Christopher were struggling against one another on the right lay line, with 69 eventually rounding on top. A few meters behind, Eskandalo was doing pretty well too. And a few places further back, Dieci per Dieci was battling out with Cuore Matto on the rounding. When it came to the ORC A fleet, it was Aquila heading the pack. This TP52 boat was extremely fast compared with the rest of the boats. Aguila placed themselves on the left side of the race course during upwind, and this gave them the advantage since they sailed the shifts close to the shore and gained a few good meters this way. And after an excellent rounding, now it was time for a really fast downwind. A few meters behind, there were some strong battles taking place between Ono, Audi, and Cabramar. Ono was on windward and was losing ground constantly. Before long, the fight was between the Audi and Cabramar. They had the same speed when reaching the mark, but in the end, it was Cabramar rounding at the top. However, the Audi didn't give up. They stayed on windward during downwind and benefited from the gusts close to the shore. They were successful in the end. They gained a few meters and so finished in front of their rivals. The rest of the fleet followed these three further back, painting the way of Cres all colors with their spinnakers. Very good performances from Fly 4 and Silver Rain. Among those in the second race of the day, Aguila started on the pin end with Fly 4 on windward, but everybody knew the left side was the favorable one. In the ORC B fleet, our Calypso blocked the 69 while starting on the pin end. Would this early lead also grant them victory in the end? Some fierce battles were taking place in this second race of the ORC A fleet, where Aguila now enjoyed a great lead. Cabramar rounded a few meters behind with Audi next to them. Close battles for the two boats as well as for the ORC B boats, but more action is expected in the following days. Second day, things have usually settled into a rhythm, and the scenery remains extraordinary no matter what. Before the race, all necessary preparations need to take place, of course. This is a sailing championship, nothing to be taken lightly if victory is one's goal. So after an hour's delay, owing to the light winds, it was now time for the athletes to leave port and picturesque Cres behind them and head to the race course. Trimming and tuning are, of course, vital dues before the start of a race like this. One needs to check the speed of the boat, alone or close to other boats, warming up and getting ready. In the first race of the day for the ORC A, it is Aguila and Fly 4 that started on the pin end. The rest of the boats spread all over the starting line. Cabramar and Audi, on the other hand, kept their fights on starboard and headed for the left side of the race course. When the ORC B race started, clearly the left side of the race course, nearest to shore, was the most favorable side. So most of the boats sailed on starboard with Isla Bonita among the top. Then it was time for tacking. Night tactics is what matters in these weather conditions. Returning to the ORC A race, where Aguila was leading by a few hundred meters, the Audi boat followed. There in turn, chased by Fly 4, Cabramar, and Ono. It would be a tough battle with Audi trying to maintain its lead in front of Fly 4. Strong battles for Cabramar and Ono as well, with the Ono decreasing the gap. Equally fierce battles were taking place in the ORC B race. There, Isla Bonita remained in second place, and Escandalo followed in third. But after a particularly bad rounding, in the end, it was first place for Dieci per Dieci, and Escandalo managed to finish second. They deserve to be congratulated on this result after a really good race. As for our Calypso, it was fourth place for them in this first race. Every point counts for the teams that want to claim a place on the podium. So, fierce battles are expected in the forthcoming races. Let's see what will happen. After almost no wait at all, the second race was about to begin. This time, Cabramar had an excellent start on the committee boat side. This race would prove quite tough on the Aguila team. Our Calypso had an equally successful start in the second ORC B race. They enjoyed a significant lead from the very beginning. It was an eventful day, full of great action in all three races that were completed. However, everything is still at stake with no difference in the leaderboard between the top boats. Third day in Cres and its wonderful marina. The Bay of Cres is the stage for the ORC Mediterranean Championship. Today is an exquisite day for some serious relaxation, sunny summer weather. But taking it easy is out of the question for some. Escandalo, Dieci per Dieci, Isla Bonita are going to have some fierce battles today. The same is true for the ORC A competition. The top 3 boats are all very close. There's been a great contest so far between Aquila and Cabramar especially. Many ups and downs, close-fought races, and narrow victories before these two boats found themselves neck and neck. There are things to be said in each one's favor. Aquila is a TP52, of course, a really fast and competitive boat. The Slovakian crew of Cabramar don't seem to mind, though. They're really thirsty to win this. Let's wait and see who will leave victorious from the Bay of Cres. In the day's first and only race, Fly 4 started on the pin end. On the other hand, a really bad start for Aquila. The Audi boat started on the race committee boat side. Cabramar was following a few meters windward. And only minutes later, Cabramar and Aquila were sailing in a battle for supremacy. Audi was leeward of Fly 4 on the left ley line. It was at this point that Cabramar decided to tack and cross. Fly 4 was now on top, while Audi had to settle for rounding behind Cabramar. During downwind, it was Cabramar in front of the Audi boat, with Ono just a few meters behind. The striking image is one of 4 boats almost in line, sailing the shift and heading to the left side of the racecourse, the one nearest the shore. At the same time, in the ORC B category, there was a clear start for 69, so they enjoyed a lead from early on, while Our Calypso and Isla Bonita 2 could not lay claim on similar success at the opening stages of the race. This way, it was 69 which rounded on top at the first mark, followed closely by Escandalo. Isla Bonita 2 and Our Calypso were struggling against each other on the mark. Returning to the ORC A race, we find Fly 4 in second place behind Aquila. It was their first good race in the championship. Would they manage to maintain this top performance? And in the surprise for the day, DSK finished 4th. They did a great job. Theirs was a very good race. The same can't be said about Cabramar. A bad day for them, even though they did manage to round in front of Ono, but in the end, they came in 6th. Let's hear now a few words from the winners.
So the start was a tight one. Aquila was very close to us and we had to push them out. And I think they had a situation after Cabramar. We just tried to be in front of the best competitors, so we were watching them and tried to go as fast as possible to the upwind mark.
However, the 4th day would be an entirely different story. Even though, once again, light winds kept all boats in the marina during the morning. A welcome breeze only arrived at around 1400. The day before the final day of the championship, we certainly expect to see who will have a clear lead in both ORC A and B. The first race of the day is on for ORC A, where Fly 4 had an almost ideal start at the pin end and was soon neck and neck with DSK. It was more than obvious, too, that they both wanted to head to the left side of the course. Aquila, meanwhile, started in the middle of the racecourse, and Camramar was on the committee boat side. Fly 4 and DSK would prove each other's equal. They were fighting fiercely, so much so they appeared to sail at the exact same speed. Meanwhile, Camramar decided to tack and cross. At the same time, our Calypso had an ideal start on the pinned end and the ORC B fleet. But the crew of Dieci per Dieci wouldn't leave them out of sight. Isla Bonita 2, on the other hand, was falling behind. And before too long, our Calypso was increasing its lead.
How can I change my human way to be a falcon for one day?
At the first mark then, 69 rounded on top, with Christopher coming second and Escandalo third.
Every time when I fly like a bird in the sky, I have this dream.
In fourth place, we'd find Isla Bonita 2, and our Calypso had fallen behind. So now, who can really predict the final outcome?
9, 4, 3, 2.
Returning to the ORC A fleet, there Fly 4 were having an excellent race and was in second. As we see in the 3D animation, they placed themselves at the left lay line in front of their rivals in order to secure their lead. Audi and Camramar were fighting for third place, especially after a splendid rounding. But whose day would it be? Audi was very near Camramar again. They had sailed the left lay line and would round very fast. Every meter, every second, everything counts in a battle for them to be at the podium. It was during downwind that the Audi really tried to stay as close to shore as possible, so they sailed some gusts and maintained their spot in front of Camramar. Fly 4 stayed a bit leeward though, so they placed themselves between their rivals and the mark. That was a very smart move for them. But the most surprising upset belonged to DSK. They stole Camramar's place at the very last second. Before the last day, results turned out to be really tricky. Who would prevail, Aquila or Camramar? Would Audi steal second place? However, at the same time, Escandalo had a safe lead in the ORC B fleet. Third place was still in question, with 69 and Isla Bonita 2 really close to one another. The final day is here, and it's a glorious, sunny day of summer in the Bay of Cres. And today, we'll also find out who the winner will be. The winds are close to non-existent today, yet at around 1200, sailors hit the water and wait for the breeze to arrive. And so the boats sail about in expectation, filling Croatia's azure waters. The scenery here really is spellbinding. The first and final race of the day was about to commence. On the committee boat side, it was Ono, by Aquila and Camramar started out in the middle of the race course. As for DSK and Fly 4, these boats started on the pin end. Sabre was also part of the group. In the ORCB race, our Calypso had the best start. They were on the pin end. 69, meanwhile, would start in the middle of the race course. With such light winds today, one's best bet is getting closer to shore, where winds are stronger. That was why everybody decided to head in that direction. Things looked easier from a distance, but the race really was hard today, since there was almost no wind. This explains some of the upsets when it came to the results. The beauty of the day of Cres, on the other hand, this, perhaps, is inexplicable. Aquila was finally emerging as leader of the race, and in the overall ranking, too. Losing this championship now seemed out of the question. DSK was coming second in this race. Perhaps they've earned a place on the podium, too, had they performed as well from the beginning. It's really a shame. But before things could settle, it was time for Camramar to strike back. The second place didn't seem so secure, so they had to tack in front of the Audi boat. And this forced Audi to tack to the left side. Certainly a clever move for Camramar, which then sailed to the right lay line, passing behind DSK, closing the distance between them. DSK was still second, but Camramar was now only a few meters behind them, with the Audi boat in fourth place. So what would happen in downwind? At the same time, Fly 4 was giving chase. They had all decided to sail near shore by that point, since the wind had almost died out. For Audi, there was no other choice than pursuing Camramar, and blocking their win. They really had to overtake them if they wanted the second place. This championship would then reach its climax with the sight of those colorful spinnakers of boats from all over Europe. Let's hear some words now from the winners.
It was a very tough week for us because in the beginning it was strong wind and we had huge problems with the material. We had to repair everything on the boat. It took us hours and hours and hours, and in the end the wind dropped. It was light winds, let's say 4 or 5 races in light winds, and this is very tough to sail. And yes, we had good races. We had mostly good starts except one, and all the crew was working really fine, always focused on the speed, and so it's easy for me as a tactician, you know.
Let's take a look at the final results here in Cres. Aquila proved themselves absolute leaders. For Camramar, a second place here, and Audi came in third. In the ORCB competition, Escandalo were deservedly the winners. 69 managed to steal third place from Isla Bonita, but Dieci par Dieci came second. The closing ceremony, where winners received their trophies, was beautifully organized. Congratulations to the top teams that celebrated their win in their own way. But in Cres, we were expecting nothing less.
I am trying, yet I'm still one step behind. So come and look for me, I'll help you.
It was a wonderful week with 9 races completed. Everybody enjoyed their stay at Cres and gave it their all in a very competitive regatta that had it all, from light to strong winds with shifty and tricky weather, and with Aquila and Escandalo winning the trophies in ORC A and B.
Colder, it's raining again. I got no other place.
Thanks for watching.
Get